Okay, so I told you that I was going to speak a little bit in more detail about the myths about courage, and the myths about fear as well, because the main thing that people get wrong, and there's such a misconception around it, I spoke about it in the previous video as well, is that in order to have courage, then you mustn't have any fear. Or the people who are brave are the ones who don't experience fear. It doesn't affect them, which is a complete lie. It's just that they're the people who they feel the fear and they do it anyway. And so remember what I said, courage is not the absence of fear, it's the confirmation that fear is present. So that's probably what I would say is the main myth about courage that you have to get out of your head. And you have to start to just accept the truth of the reality, which is that on your journey, you are never going to be able to avoid fear. So that's another myth about fear as well, is that fear is something that you only experience when you're someone who is a lower level actualized human being, in that you've not done any growth, so fear can attack you and all these things. But fear is more of a threat to people who are at a higher level. So the thing about what people don't necessarily understand is that more money creates more problems. But more money obviously also solves a lot of problems. It's just that the problems that you now get to deal with are higher level problems. So it's the same thing with fear, where when you become somebody who is more grown, then you get more fear, and it's a higher level of fear that you have to deal with. For example, when you are just at the beginning of your journey and you're starting out, your fear is that you are going to die, or that you are going to suffer from your reputation being shattered and other things going wrong. It's all selfish. So if it's selfish, then that's the lowest level of what you have to deal with in terms of your fear. And the higher levels of fear that a person can have the responsibility of dealing with are when the fear is not just about concerning them, but it's concerning other people too. So mothers, for example, sometimes will have the fear of their baby and what can happen to them if they die, so they become a better person. The same thing happens for people who are business owners, in that their fear is, what if I can't pay my employees? I don't want to let go of them. Like, they genuinely have lives that I have to consider as well, and families. And especially if you're close with your employees and things like that, like your business is your family, then that can become a huge fear for you. So your fear, being selfless, is something that you experience when you become more grown. So you cannot have this misconception that just because you've overcome your fear now, that the fear is no longer going to be there. The fear is something that stays within you forever. All of these devils, they don't go away. They attack you even more. But you become somebody who is more aware that the fear is there, and you have the desire that I don't want to let that fear overcome me. And that's what we see when we see people who are very brave. So these are some of the bigger misconceptions around courage, around fear. Another huge misconception around courage is that people seem to believe that people who are courageous and brave have something different about them in their DNA. And I think that's bullshit. What I believe about fear is that you're not born with courage. Courage is something that is developed over time. It's almost a skill set in how you can deal with fear when it arises. And you're not necessarily reacting to the fear, but you're responding to the fear, and you're able to manage the fear in a way where you can be more proactive about it instead of reactive about it. And we can do things like meditation and becoming more aware of our thoughts, so that when a thought comes up, which is a familiar thought, that is a thought that you remember based on how previously when you experienced fear and you mismanaged it, then that was the first thought that came up. So if you can start to become a little bit more familiar with the thoughts that are creeping up before, just like with history repeating itself, what I was saying about the perfect storm, you can see the commonalities as to what happens in the build-up towards the fear coming or the storm coming. Then you're able to respond differently with a new strategy, because you prioritize certain things in your life so that you don't experience the negative consequences of succumbing to that fear. So these are some of the the bigger misconceptions around fear. I think another huge misconception around fear is how some people seem to think that they're immune to fear themselves, because just in the same way where they see those people as being like really brave and all these things, they think that those people didn't have any fear. So if in order for them to become highly successful, then they mustn't also have fear. And that's just being in complete denial of the truth, because every single one of you has fear. It's just that you might not have necessarily brought what is unconscious and subconscious to you. So subconscious and unconscious means that it's out of your awareness. You might not have brought that unconscious fear to the surface. And it requires an expert. It requires either a therapist or a coach, somebody to help you to uncover these answers a lot of the time. Or it requires a lot of journaling, a lot of meditation. So these are things where the answers come from within. But I guarantee you, every single one of you has a fear right now. And if you think that I don't have any fear, I'm not succumbed to fear or anything like that, then that is totally false. And either that is false or you are not a human being. You're a robot. Every single one of us has fear inside of us. And the ones who have more fear are just the ones who are hopping into the comfort zone, the zone of discomfort more often. And that's really what you want to be thinking about doing. A really great exercise that you can do off the back of this video is you can draw a circle on a piece of paper that has your comfort zone, and it is labeled your comfort zone as the inner circle. And what you want to do is you want to write down all of the things that you find in your comfort zone. So for example, if every single day you go to your job and you do it comfortably all the time, then you can put your job in the comfort zone. If every single day you are speaking to the same individuals in your own family, then you can write speaking with my own family in your comfort zone. Speaking the same language, put that in your own comfort zone. And then in the zone of discomfort, you want to draw a circle around the comfort zone, which encompasses a lot larger, because here's the thing as well, your comfort zone is going to be a lot smaller than your zone of discomfort. So make it huge. And then I want you to list all of the things in your zone of discomfort that you feel like you're avoiding right now. So for that person, it could have been, I'm not speaking a different language to other people. That's my zone of discomfort. Another thing could be, I'm staying within my job when really I know that I should be in a business. I should be an entrepreneur. So that's my zone of discomfort, doing something self-employed, doing something by myself instead of relying on an organization. Another zone of discomfort could be I'm only speaking with my family when I could be networking with other individuals who I don't even know, but I know that from doing that, it's going to push me outside my comfort zone and allow me to then have the confidence to speak with more people. So this is the thing, is that confidence is not something that you just get overnight. Confidence comes through action, and aligned action towards you having that sense of intuition. And it's intuition. Here's the thing that you have to understand as well, is that it is not intuition if it makes you feel comfortable. If it is something that you feel that makes you feel uncomfortable when you think about it, then that is intuition. Because intuition is always dragging you out of your comfort zone for you to grow into a better person, for you to emerge as a better human being. So when that intuition is speaking to you and it's an uncomfortable thing that it's revealing to you, then know that that's probably where you need to head towards as that direction. It's guiding you towards that. So this is one of the things that happens with confidence. Confidence is something that is built over time as you build your self-trust. So what that means as well is that it's really important when you make these promises to go outside of your comfort zone, that you actually stick to them. And I would recommend that instead of writing down something in your zone of discomfort and saying, I'm going to go and do the thing that I'm most afraid of right now, and it's the top priority and all these things, and then you just don't do it. Like, it is better to not make a promise that you can't keep than to actually make a smaller promise first and then keep that promise, because that builds what we call self-trust. Every time that you keep a promise, the same way that if somebody breaks the promise with you, they're going to lose trust with you. Because the thing about trust is that it can be built over a lifetime, but at the same time, it takes a lifetime to build, but it can be gone in a moment, in a second. So the thing about your trust is that you want to be thinking about your self-trust before you extend trust to another person. And that's how you build confidence. You build confidence through just simply keeping promises over and over and over again, and showing yourself that you can fulfill what it is that you say you can do. And that's how you start to become more brave and start to trust yourself that little bit more. So when it comes to hopping out of your zone of discomfort, you want to be keeping those little promises again and again, so that the trust builds up over time. And then eventually you are going to become a whole different person who is braver, who is more confident, and where other people are looking at you and think, wow, like, how are you able to just step out and do those things that I could never imagine doing? I could never imagine speaking on stage. I could never imagine traveling to another country solo without anybody else. I could never imagine quitting my job and never going back, knowing that I don't know when I'm going to get paid or anything like that. It's just going to happen when it happens. I could never imagine doing those things. And the reason why they're going to say those things to you is because you kept these little promises and hopped out of your zone of discomfort again and again and again and again. So that's a little bit of an exercise that I would recommend you doing after watching this video. Make sure you get it done, and get it done as soon as possible in stepping out of your comfort zone. In one of the future videos, I'm going to go through the 3 types of action that you want to take, where once you've watched that, you're going to understand why it's so crucial and important for you to get these things done in a certain type of way. So make sure you watch that video as well. It's going to be epic. But those are some of the myths and misconceptions about courage and fear, and you want to get them out of your head as quick as possible and bring in the truth about what fear really is, how it shows up, and the same thing about courage and how you can become more confident and courageous. So yeah, I hope this video has been really beneficial for you. And in the next one as well, we're going to go into some really cool stuff that I've got to grips with about fear, sharing some analogies with you as well that will help you understand it at a whole different level, because remember, understanding is a precursor towards wisdom. And when you have that understanding, you can have the wisdom where you can apply the truth, and that's where you get the true fruits and the rewards from doing that. So yeah, excited, and let's hop into the next video.